Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Smudcast number 577, How to Save the DC Cinematic Universe. Now, I don't know if there's a particularly good or promising movie that you could watch in the DC Cinematic Universe that goes like, hey, that's a good example. They just need to do more of that. They all seem to be either bad to mediocre depending on your flavor of action and your taste for adaptations. I don't think the adaptations were done very well through the eyes of Zack Snyder. So I'm sure there's some movie out there that like Wonder Woman or some series that you guys might have said, yeah, that's a good version of the DC comic book world. But I am not.
Does
Yeah,
does the Batman count?
I
The recent one?
technically it should because DC owns the Batman.
Right.
So yes, but part of the universe, I don't know. I think they're making a sequel to that, so it should
I
count.
believe so.
Yeah, if they could
Yeah.
just do that version of the Batman and then do that version of Superman or
I
whatever.
mean, not make it 3 hours again, that'd be fine.
Oh God, yeah, that was.
Yeah, I mean once was enough.
Yeah, I don't mind the slow detective sort of scenarios, movies, things like that. But for a Batman film, it's got to be a little bit punchier, a little bit cleaner, trim it down a bit more.
hmm
So if they want to do a sequel, do a sequel. There's nothing wrong with telling a story that's extended.
hmm
So,
And they are working on a sequel to the Joker movie.
oh
Um
boy.
from what I hear it's going to be like a musical, or it's going to have musical elements to it, and
Oh,
Lady Gaga is going to play Harley Quinn.
oh my.
Yeah. I'm interested. I'm curious to see. I'm not going to judge it until I see a trailer for it.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
See, this is the thing. All you got to do is make a good story and, make sure it looks good and sounds good. Other than that, I don't really care about the universe itself because all it is just we're going to have films which are related to each other on the actors and maybe some timelines and maybe some plot threads. But other than that, I don't care what DC does. And with Marvel, it was, well, we're going to interconnect all of these actors and
Yeah.
chronologically do like that takes a lot of effort. You don't have to do that. It's not necessary to make a good series of films. So
Yeah. Plus, they had years.
yeah, they had over a decade to get uh, the Marvel thing to work properly. So
Yeah.
it helps when you plan stuff out. And with DC World, it wasn't planned out very well. It didn't have
Not at all.
it didn't have a singular vision. It didn't have like Endgame was a structured build up to that, which was cool because if you read the Infinity Gauntlet or the Infinity Gauntlet War or whatever it was called, it was just a big series of comic books that had all this build up with all these characters, and it royally screwed up the timeline because everyone died, and then oh no, they all came back. Everything's great. So fun stuff, hard to do. Takes a lot of reading, takes a lot of planning. So yeah, just hire good writers. The rest will take care of itself. Usually, until you get a crazy director who wants to do a million different things. So I don't know. Maybe hire Tim Burton again. I don't know. It's not.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, it's not. It's not rocket science. It's not that difficult. Get a good script. Figure it out. Hire the right people to play the script. Get some talent, and you're good to go. Anyway, HiTopFilms. This guy came out with this video. Let me see. Came out in August of this year. And if you don't know HiTopFilms, he's a big Batman fanboy. So it's just going to be him gushing about how awesome Batman is. And probably if you just do Batman, everything else will follow. That's fine. You're a passionate fanboy of a certain franchise or a certain character in a franchise. Sure. So I want to get more from him aside from whatever Batman's doing, copy. Like it didn't work for Zack Snyder. It didn't work for Wonder Woman very well. It tried to. It did okay. The first film. The second one,
Yeah.
not so good. Anyway, let's get going. think we're all on the watch together. Yeah, we are. Okay, good.
Hey, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. You know who probably isn't doing too well? Making movies is hard, man. I'm currently in the process of shooting my dream project, a Jason Todd fan film.
Oh.
It's been one of the hardest, most rewarding, most taxing, most joyful, most depressing, most inspiring times in my life, and we're just getting started. You know, I used to be angry at filmmakers who made movies I didn't like. I used to spit vitriol their way. Then, I started making movies. Making movies is hard, man. Imagine dreaming of one. I'm sure you have. It starts with an idea, and that idea inspires other ideas, other artists, extremely talented artists to come together to create. To you, it isn't content, it isn't a product you click on. To you, to me, to them, it's creating life, a world, characters.
He's taking this rather personally. I could write a script and I consider it content to be formatted for a certain medium as soon as I write that sentence. So my brain goes, how's that going to look on the page? How's it going to look on the screen? How's that going to sound? What music do I want to go with? What visual? Like my brain is already like visualizing how it's going to look and feel and sound. So I this is the creative process. He's just taking it into a personal world. So if you were to do that every time you write something, you'd be exhausted. You'd be like, ugh. So.
Yeah, and just because you know the process doesn't mean Snyder's movies don't suck ass.
Yes. This is the problem with Snyder. He became a creative type and he should have been a visionary. He should have been, I can visualize that on the screen, no problem.
Yeah, he's a good visionary director. I mean, his movies look beautiful.
Right. But don't write the script. Don't adapt the comic. Just get the script someone else wrote that was cut for film and visualize it. That's all he has to do. So, anyway.
You have no idea if people will love the life you've created. You just have to hope that the thousands of...
See, this again, I don't agree with at all. This is like saying, well, if you buy a stock, you're just gambling. It's like, no, you do your research. You figure out what's good, why it's good, how it's good. You ask people, you say, what do you think? Would it be cool to have a PG-14 rated Batman film for kids and adults? Would it be good? Sure. It worked in 1989. How did that work? Well, they had Tim Burton. They had a visual style. They had a gothic architecture look. They had all these miniatures.
It was dark as hell.
Yeah, it still was good for kids as much as there was violence and death and other things. So it can work. You need to know the formula. And that's the beauty of screenwriting or writing in general. There is a formula to these things.
Hours you and your creative team, your family put into it, the sleepless nights, the exhausting days, was somehow all worth it. Worth it to everyone. Everyone has an opinion. No. To someone, your biggest fan, your biggest critic. No. To just one. If you can reach one person, you've made a difference. Imagine waking...
What is this emotional garbage?
I don't know.
Did you watch too many My Little Pony episodes from the 80s?
This is like publishing your first book and 100 people hate your book, but the 101 just goes, oh, this is great stuff.
No, it's like it's the situation of, oh, you've made a movie that cost $1 billion to make, and only one person likes it. Yeah. Everybody else hates it because not just because it's bad, because you deliberately destroyed something that they loved. So how does that justify it? What the hell? This is insane. You didn't understand the message right. This is not where you apply this. Oh, if just one person likes it, it's worth it. This is the bullshit of everyone's special. Like if just my mommy likes my drawing, like, yeah, fuck off. That doesn't mean anything. Of course your mommy likes your drawing. It's her job.
Yeah, and I hope he's like leading into like the title of this video, like the meat of it, with his if one person liked it, comment.
Yeah.
Like get to the point, man. You're like a minute and a half in, and get to the point.
Because I could say the exact opposite. Like I say, I make a video. 90% of the people on the video comments say it's great, it's amazing. You should listen to just those people. It's like, really? Okay.
Also, a bunch of yes men, so you never improve because you don't want to hear anyone that's criticizing you, from which you could actually learn something.
Yeah, it's
great.
Not the greatest piece of advice, but okay, he's going somewhere with this. Let's keep going.
Waking up one morning after years of dreaming, and without your knowledge, without your consent, your dream is erased, canceled, killed.
These were not dreams. These were not dreams, and not for. No. These things were made for tax write-offs, probably. These things were made for money laundering. I think. What was her name? Ruby Rose, the actress for Batwoman.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Batwoman.
She even
said, that's a money laundering operation right there.
Yeah, she said it. She said it in an interview afterwards. It's just money laundering.
Yeah, it's undeniable.
Yeah, so we have admission.
I really don't.
And I assumed this. I thought that might be what it actually is, when very few people had the idea that that's what it is. And then she confirmed it. The actress herself confirmed it. And nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about that fucking point. These were not dreams. They never were dreams. These were propaganda pieces that were also used to launder money. They're not meant to be good. They're meant to be shit.
The message.
Yeah, and they're meant to be shit because part of the propaganda, so part of this whole social justice, socialist, communist bullshit, whatever the current iteration is, it's the same at its core. It uses different tools in every iteration, whatever. It's not just to spread the propaganda, it's also at the same time the destruction of the cultural piece it is about. So it deliberately brings down the piece it is about while spreading as much of the message, the propaganda, as it can, whilst enriching the few people who work on it in insane ways. Because we never see the quality in the movies, in the series, that the budget implies. We see the same thing again with Rings of Power. The show, the way the show looks, does not reflect the budget. The writing is garbage. It's deliberate destruction of Tolkien. It's there to spread the message. It's propaganda that at the same time destroys the very thing while shoving money to somewhere. And nobody actually likes this shit. Oh, somebody liked it. That is... I want to see that person that really liked it, and it will probably not be a very, very sophisticated person.
Yeah, this is not the philosophy of working in like the service industry or as a nurse. This is entertainment. You're supposed to make people laugh or cry, and if you don't do that, you got to go back to basics. So
yeah, and if your standard, it's a very low standard. If just one person enjoyed it, that is something you can justifiably work with if you write fan fiction for a fan fiction site or some fetish fiction site, and there will be someone who enjoys it. Okay. This is not that. This is big projects about the cultural icons of our time, of our civilization, and that deserves a bit more effort put into it, and a bit more authenticity, a bit more heart, soul, and honesty. And there's none of that in any of these things.
All right, let's keep going.
Making movies is hard, man. I hope all the storytellers who worked hard to create something they believed in with Batgirl, I hope they are all doing as well as they possibly can be. Clearly, this is a rare situation.
Dude, just because you call yourself a storyteller or writer doesn't mean you are one. Just because you randomly shit out words on a screen or on a piece of paper doesn't mean you're a writer, a poet, or anything that has something to do with writing.
Well, let's just take a step back and say that, yeah, doing things are hard, but doing anything worthwhile is probably hard. So he thinks, because he's obviously in love with Batman. He's said this before many times, how much he loves the character. So he's trying to do a Batman fan flick. Good for him. It's hard. It's like, yeah, but you love it. You want to do it. That's why you stay up the 12 hours to do the extra work. That's anything in life. So it's not just entertainment. It's not just the difficulties of, running a business or whatever. It's the thing that is worthwhile. And to do a quality thing takes the extra effort. That's why, this is just my experience, when you go to a restaurant that pays the extra $50 or 25%, you can immediately see the difference. You could taste it. You could smell it. It's a fine cut of beef or whatever.
If you paid that same amount but got the crap quality of not paying that amount,
right, you'll notice.
You'd feel ripped off.
Yeah, you'll feel ripped. It's like, I could do this myself, whatever. Yeah, so there's an obvious level of attention and effort put into even something that as simple as eating is noticeable. So that's in life, guys. Do something you think is worthwhile, the most attractive, the most valuable, the treasure, the thing you treasure the most. Work on that and you'll be happy. And you'll exhaust yourself and you'll collapse and you'll be happy. It's a very simple lesson in life, but anyway, I'm rambling now. Let's keep going.
Clearly, something is changing at WB, at DC.
Really?
Clearly, this has happened before. Clearly, the DC film universe needs saving.
No,
why is he talking like this?
But first, I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's ramble, Rave. Voice of other and sound, smooth, sensual, offers a suit any mood for your ears. Will not button, and they still worked in 3 feet of winter Raycon. We see online, DC.
Dude, how long is this? Is this guy always talking like this?
Yep.
Like, the world is about to end. The emotions are so heavy. I have scars deep in my soul, like an emo anime character. Like, can you be any more pretentious? This is what if you want to save this shit, then you can't excuse the bad writing, because it's not the special effects that are the reason why these movies are failing. It's oftentimes not the actors. It's almost always and entirely the writing.
All right, here is the Dark Seraph. Thank you, sir, for the 5. Good God, this guy sounds dull as hell, almost like it's something he's forced to make. This is how he presents. This is very,
it's a style.
Yeah, it's a style. It's not drab, but it's kind of like he's getting punchy for no reason.
Yeah, and especially since I would say, in looking at how big these budgets are, that the writing takes up the smallest portion of that.
No.
And that's I think that's a mistake.
Well, also one of their biggest mistakes is that they're moving. They moved like way too fast on this. Like, they came out with Man of Steel, and then they immediately jumped to Batman versus Superman with like no build up whatsoever.
Because they wanted to catch up with Marvel.
Right. Marvel was already doing, Captain America Civil War, which was essentially this, Batman versus Superman. And, they're like, we got to catch up to them.
Yeah, they wanted to get to Justice League immediately without even properly setting up the other characters. It's basically, they want to catch up to the ejaculation without doing the foreplay. I know that's a very crude metaphor, but that's what they're bloody fucking doing. It's how they make the movies in themselves, because they're not giving the movies time to breathe. We can argue with Zack Snyder taking a little bit too much time for that. I think that's the exception here. But in general, these movies that just rush through the plot to get to cool scene 1 and then cool scene 2. and you've got no time to process, to set up, to have. Gingerman, you just today watched your first 2 episodes, Babylon 5. Tell me about it.
Pretty good. I like how quick you were to say that.
Yeah, because I just realized, because we just watched we was just watching with Bears, and then a few people joined in, and we're just at the start of season 3. So Gingerman didn't see it from the very beginning, but just from the start of season 3. And
I do plan to see it from the beginning after I finish Stargate. So
yeah, that's cool.
Oh.
Yeah, but I don't know if it was you or Horned Rabbit. But the scene where Jakar runs after Garibaldi and tries to tell him about the bombings, who's behind it, that he thinks is behind it, and everything. And that short scene alone gave so much life of the station. It was a very big set. It was you could say a long shot. And it immediately set up the character. For anyone who didn't know the character of Jakar, you knew exactly who Jakar was, you knew exactly who Garibaldi was, just from that little scene.
Yeah, that was me that brought that up. It's the fact that they were able to use that, they were able to make a long shot like that, but still have have the environment around that conversation flow naturally, as well as it did.
Mm-hmm. With Jakar accidentally being cut off by a column, realizing he'd lost Garibaldi, and then runs after him towards the camera to catch up. It almost looks comical, and also shows how frantic Jakar is about all of this. And you have all of these little things just in that. And you have the second episode, the elevator scene with Londo, where it's just there's barely any dialogue, or at least from Jakar there's barely any dialogue. He's just nodding, shaking his head, and making amused grimaces.
Barely any dialogue, next to no sound in the ambience. It's almost completely silent aside from them.
Yeah, no background music.
No background music. Next to barely, there's a smidge of background noise. Next to nothing, because of how sealed in it is.
Yeah, and you understand the dynamic between these characters very quickly, and it's well acted. There's actual acting there. I don't think any of this would happen nowadays on big cinema. Not this way.
Yeah, at this point, Hollywood has pretty much lost all of that the nuance of that kind of of those kinds of a scene.
Yeah, and that's the difference in writing. Babylon 5 was quality writing, quality direction. This stuff here, it has big budgets, it has great special effects, but it falls flat on the writing, which is often inconsistent, contradictory, outright boring, and when it tries to be epic, half the time, I would say, it comes off just as pretentious.
They're try-harding.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Honestly, when it comes to Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman, the only thing people really remember about those movies, excuse me, is the fact that in Man of Steel, it's wow, look at all the destruction, look how many people died in this fight. That's literally the only thing they remember about that movie.
Yeah, they remember what was stupid about it.
And how whiny Superman is.
Yeah. In these movies, what stands out and what you remember is what doesn't work for Superman, or doesn't what makes this not Superman.
I sometimes tend to make the joke that Man of Steel, they made Man of Steel a worse Dragon Ball movie than Dragon Ball Evolution, and that's saying something. Because not even in Dragon Ball itself you see that kind of destruction in a city unless it's deliberate, like with Cell.
Does Goku ever break someone's leg?
Well, I don't mean one-to-one. I mean just destruction in general. It's like the only times we see it, just like the Saiyan saga where Nappa and Vegeta arrive on Earth. There it's deliberate because they're straight up invading the planet.
Yeah, the fight just happens where they land. But
otherwise, in the Saiyan saga, that's the purpose. They're invading the planet. They're looking for this guy. They're not going to stop until they find them. They give you the reason.
Yeah,
Man of Steel and BVS is like, fuck that, action.
Yeah, the good guys in Dragon Ball always try to draw the fight into unpopulated areas.
Yes.
Superman in the past did the same, except this one. Because we need raking buildings, because all that's cool. Like, no. If you can't convey that these fights are amazing and breathtaking without having the city go to ruin, you're a shit writer for the story itself, the characters, and for action scenes. Because you're not creative enough to pull off an interesting fight between two super powerful godlike beings without having buildings fall apart. Like, what the fuck? You're a hack.
Yeah, take notes from Japan.
Any fucking shonen anime.
Yeah, and just to go back, before going back to the video, there's like in terms of the Dragon Ball comparison, you can just surmise it as if Goku and Vegeta and others that are literally from a warrior race bred to fight are more concerned with collateral damage than Superman, you fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Let's go.
Fighting. Snyder fanboys, Reeves fanboys, CW fanboys, comic puritans, video essay charlatans, we always be arguing over what DC should do. But you know the one thing that unites us? Like the please touch some grass version of the Justice League? The simple, the singular idea, the unifying thought that something needs to fucking change. But before I tell you what I think they should do, what I would do to save the DC universe, I want to ask you what you think they should do.
I think we've answered that question to some degree already.
Yep.
Yeah, I have for sure.
Good.
Comments below, give me your dream DC movie. If you're like me, you've spent way too long thinking about where you want, what you want, and how you want these movies to look, to sound, to feel. Let me know. Seriously.
No, those are the less interesting parts.
This is the basic thing.
You're stuck with visuals.
You just hire the comic book writers who wrote the comic and say, hey, you want to write for the movies? It's like, oh, yeah, well, I wrote the comic. It's like, okay, can you write a screenplay? Sure.
Yeah. How do we translate the comic into into a I forgot the word. The drawing board thing.
The storyboards?
Storyboard, yes, thank you. Like, but best example for the action scenes. Full Metal Alchemist. The comic, the manga. Like, my God, what the hell is wrong with my brain today? The manga is essentially a perfect storyboard for how to make the action scenes in the anime. You basically had all the work done, or that part of the work done already.
Yeah.
So why not get for the writing, as you said, the actual writers of the comics, and let them have an actual say in it, and not like this bullshit that they do with Neil Gaiman, where he's part of the show, but they change the show so much that they don't resemble the comics at all anymore.
Yeah, which is fine if Gaiman has a certain, I can't do this in the comic, but I could do it in real life. That's a good argument, but you didn't have to.
And then they rewrite all his characters, and he sits there clapping. Yeah, Death is black now. Yeah,
we have multiple gay men.
I think he said in a recent interview that he actually kind of sabotaged that show or that miniseries a bit.
Well, no. There was
because they changed so much.
The guy,
or something like that. I don't know.
The guy who wrote an adaptation back in like the early 2000s is the same guy who wrote the script for the one with the giant spider, the one that Kevin Smith kept talking about, the Western Wild Wild West. The guy who
God.
Yeah, so he had a giant spider in his freaking Neil Gaiman Sandman adaptation, and Gaiman was like, this is the worst script I have ever read. I'm going to release it to some blog, and they're going to lampoon it, and it never saw the light of day. So with him, with the control he had as one of the producers on the Sandman live action, he was like, I want to do this. And they were like, sure, go for it. We can do that. But it was a lot of casting choices that a lot of people are still shaking their heads at. And a lot of the scenes they weren't bad, but they were like, this is not how it should have flown if you had the actual character or characters from the story. So there's Puritans that he was referring to that say, yeah, why didn't you just give us what was in the comic? And they could have. They easily could have.
And the comic does have some writing issues, as big works like that do. That just happens. That use there's little things here and there. But what is so fucking difficult in getting lookalike actors for the characters?
Yeah, the only justifiable one was which I still don't like, but they turned Constantine into a woman, and for legal reasons.
So much.
What?
Yeah, so they used the same actress in one different time frame and another in the present. So it's like, okay, that's because Constantine could be a movie sequel, could be another series. It already is a series. It was part of the weird Lucifer world that was a detective fiction.
Yeah, but the actual one.
Oh yeah, he was in the CW.
Yeah, so it's like it's
Flash or Arrow.
It's a legal issue, which makes perfect sense. So it's easily forgivable, and you're like, that's fine. But the other ones, like everyone's gay, everyone's black, everyone's a woman, is like, okay, this is way too much.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
First of all,
it's not Sandman.
First of all, it's Constantine. Second of all, what the fuck are they smoking?
Well, actually, in the original Sandman, it's Constantine. Believe it or not, they actually have a line in that book. In the movies as well as the series, he does say, no, it's Constantine. You're right. So
yeah, I'm just used to how like when DC integrated all that stuff into like the main DC universe. That's how
it's so funny to hear these British guys go, no, it's Constantine. It's like, no, it's not quite sure it's Constantine. It's like, okay, guys, whatever.
Yeah, just like the whole thing with Ra's al Ghul. It's like it's one or the other. It's like, no, it's race. It's a common misconception. Yeah. It's like at this point they just know and they just play around with it.
It's just a joke at this point. You're right.
Yeah, but in a way that it doesn't disparage either side. It's like, yeah, it's a common misconception. It's like it's this way, but you can say however the
fuck see, this is want. Like name pronunciation or mispronunciation is such a common thing in life. It's like, sure, I could totally believe it.
Yeah. At least in that, yeah.
But regarding just making an authentic live action adaptation, that is just. That you just look at and think like, wow, that's it. I want to see that. That looks great. Someone put effort into it, and I'm not referring to the Batwoman porn adaptation that had a better looking costume. But I don't know where I picked it up first. Who posted it first? But I came across a car commercial for Renault, and some car commercials often lately in the past years they put their car driving through some other IP background. Like there was an Attack on Titan car ad where the car's driving through, and there's all the Titans in the mountains. And recently, what I saw was one that live action adapted the 80s Dungeons and Dragons TV show, cartoon, maybe anime a little bit. That the Toei Animation was involved.
Really?
Yeah, and I watched this and I wasn't sure what I'm looking at. I thought like, oh, that looks like they adapted. The first half, it's not obvious it's a car commercial. It just looked like the trailer for the next fantasy movie. And I thought like, hey, that looks like a proper look of Tiamat, the bad super original dragon of Dungeons and Dragons. And then as the heroes were revealed one by one, I feel like, fuck, I know these guys. Fuck, they have the right costumes. The actors are lookalikes. And it's the cast from that old Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. And it looks amazing. Looks great. And it incorporates all the elements of the show even. And properly. And I feel like this, why can a bloody car commercial be a better fantasy, Dungeons and Dragons, and generally live action adaptation with lookalike actors? Why is a car commercial doing that right, but nothing that comes out of AAA Hollywood?
Well, at this point,
or whatever else.
If they just go straight to the animated DCEA or EUA and do the film there first and say, wow, what a great animated film. Let's go to live action. And they did it backwards with Suicide Squad. So if they just did it properly.
Just make it authentic. That's all you need to do. Make it authentic. Make the characters the actual characters. Don't do the subversion bullshit. You should not subvert characters that haven't even been established. That's not subversion. That's just surprise shitting on the audience. It's not the same thing.
That's why the animated movies had a much better batting average compared to the live action around this time.
All right.
Even though I find the pacing in the DC animated movies is too fast.
True.
All right. Okay, we're 4 minutes and a half in. We're doing okay.
Oh, better than Snyder.
First thing I would do, and I already made an entire video about this, please make a Superman movie. Thinking about how DC League of Super Pets is the closest thing we've had to a solo Superman film since 2013 sends me into a downward spiral, a never-ending depression. If it were up to me, I'd start fresh. I know so many of you love Henry Cavill, and I too believe that he never really had a chance to shine the way he should have, really could have. But I think we need the Batman, but for Superman. A character study, not an origin story, that maintains the core values of the icon while giving the audience something they never expected. Something that reinvigorates the general public's love for Clark Kent.
Super Monkey is a thing?
It was a one-off Silver Age thing, but like the point he's making, yes, I think the best thing they can do right now is to start fresh.
Yeah.
And actually do Man of Steel right this time.
Yeah, and they could follow. Man of Steel was that there was an attempt at a character study, but it completely fell flat.
It went the complete opposite direction.
Well, they could do the same thing that they did in the Batman. Is like have Superman be already an established character. Don't like you just said. Don't do an origin story all over again. Like have him be in Metropolis, and like it's his first year. He's starting out. He's still kind of learning the rules a little bit. He's learning like his strengths and weaknesses. Like he's learning like how hard do I have to hit somebody. You know?
Basically a Superman right off the heels of Smallville.
I guess essentially. I never watched Smallville, so I don't.
Well, I don't mean literally. I mean just a Superman that just went through that entire like point of his life and has just become Superman and is learning, like you said.
Right.
All right. Here is P. Leif. Thank you, sir. Posted the commercial or commertile in the stream memes. Hi, Wisp. Okay.
With the commercial.
Oh. I think that should be safe to watch since it's a commercial.
You never know. You never. I
can
get copyright struck
with the sound off.
Yeah, I could get copyright struck for who knows what these days. It's kind of ridiculous.
Getting copyright struck for showing a commercial would be fun, though.
Well. Anyway, 5 minutes in, we're good.
At least we can.
I love Superman. You probably love Superman. But in a world driven by metatextual deconstructions, in a world where evil Superman is all too common, I think we need to remember why Clark is the greatest, most selfless, and loving of them all.
Yes, please.
Step 2. Choose one Batman. Fine, 2. Keep it to 2 Batmen, please.
What?
Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck, Robert Pattinson, that's too many main Batmen if you ask me. But I get it. They want a Batman to be in all the DC movies. They want one of them to be the Iron Man of the DCU. But here's the thing, man. Batman ain't Iron Man. Sure, he sells as much merchandise. Sure, he's most people's favorite. But you can't keep giving us Batman. Well, you can, and they will. But the problem is they never go past that. Bruce's story, his world, has the potential to be a cinematic universe within itself. The story of Bruce opening himself up to partners, opening himself up to love, to a Bat family, is such a beautiful tale that is worthy of its own series of film.
Yeah, it can definitely work because that all of the development, like the entire journey of Bruce's development, has pretty much gone over the course of pretty much literally his entire existence. Like the Bat family as we know it now, that took decades upon decades to get to the level where we know it in pop culture. There was a lot of build-up to how it is now. That entire history is just... That's one of the core pillars of Batman's entire mythos. Just the Bat family alone is a crucial part of his history.
Yeah,
both in and out of universe.
They have several versions of him losing his legs or getting his back broken and coming back. And we saw the weird Nolan version of that, which didn't make too much sense.
Which sucked ass through a straw.
Yeah, it probably makes more sense than the one that we got in the comics, but I would probably want the one in the comics more than the one.
That's just part of why it works in the comics is because that was Bane's introduction story into the DC universe in general.
Yeah,
that's how they established him.
Right, and it was comic booky. It was magical. It had some science in there, and then that even had Elseworlds and spin-offs and retellings. So a lot of people wanted to reinterpret that, and that's totally fine. That's what you do in comics.
Just say as long as you at least stay true to the core of what Batman is, what the character is, his strengths and flaws. The actor is secondary.
Yeah,
because they throw out the core things, like just as they did with Superman. They didn't keep the core of the character with Man of Steel.
Yeah, so check out Mantle of the Bat and Nightfall. I think those are the main stories that go through that whole arc of Bruce coming back.
I mean, even though it's not part of even though it's not the main DC universe, I'd say at least Arkham Asylum and Arkham City for at least at the time a fresh take on Batman that you really don't need the baggage for.
I see a problem in what was the name of the last Batman movie? The drawn out one.
The Batman.
The Batman.
The Batman. Article Batman.
The Batman.
I'll call him Article Batman.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't really Batman. There was to what I saw. There was the costume. There was the Dark City, but that Batman was not competent. That Batman was not good out at figuring things out. His Batmobile was a joke that didn't even really work. It was a comedy scene. When he started the thing in the background and it looked scary because, and then he just keeps hitting the gas without starting, and then the bloody thing dies.
Yeah,
that's. I'm sorry. That's usually a comedy scene, so it makes him look incompetent.
Usually, you can tell when the writing for a certain Batman is questionable at the very least when they just go immediately for the exaggerated gruff with him, like where's the trigger, like Nolan did. You can tell if you can tell that it at least has potential if it's like subdued, like the old animated universe. Like Affleck had that potential to be like the subdued, like calm, like Batman, but they just the moment they took that step too far, that did not work.
What bothers me is that the Article Batman he wasn't a competent hero in his own movie.
No.
He was behind all the time, and in stupid ways, contrived ways.
I like how he figured out to cut the carpet with the carpet cutter, just because there's a carpet.
Yeah.
And he didn't know what it was either.
Someone had to explain to him. His dad was a carpet cleaner guy. Like,
thanks, exposition cop.
Yeah, random dude.
It can definitely work to show an early career Batman as incompetent when he's starting out, but again, it only works if he's starting out because he hasn't figured he hasn't figured the routine for this out yet.
Yeah, but that is so much better displayed in Mask of the Phantasm, where he's not yet perfectly competent in his brawling, in his fighting.
That's exactly the example I wanted to bring up. Mask of the Phantasm. It's like it's reserved specifically for when you're showing him in his early career deliberetely. That he's starting out, he's incompetent, but that's because he hasn't figured the shtick out yet. By the time he's Batman as we know him now, he's I wouldn't say unstoppable, but he is highly efficient.
Right.
Yeah. And I wouldn't call him incompetent. I would just call him
experienced.
He's the amateur on his way becoming a becoming professional.
Yes.
But Article Batman, he was incompetent, I would say.
And he wasn't just starting out. He was well into being Batman. And there's no excuse for that.
Well, we do have the animated version of Batman Year One, which is pretty much the comic book. So that shows Bruce as making some mistakes, but nothing over the top.
Nothing too major.
Like, he's smart. He's like, I'm not doing something right. And he figures it out how to fix that. And he goes after the rich, and he knows how to scare them. He gets that, like, all the things he learns about doing before he does them, which is nice.
Yeah, there's a foundation there. It's all that's left there is refinement, which is what Year One like goes out of its way to like display of like within the process of how he's like becoming like the actual Batman.
Right. Okay. Let's keep going.
But WB cancels Batgirl. The Chris McKay Nightwing movie will probably never ever happen. And the last time a Batman had a Robin by his side on screen was literally 1997. So you know what I would do? Let Matt Reeves do what he's already doing. Leave him alone. He's a genius. One that seems to have a trilogy in mind for his Bruce Wayne. One that seems to have an entire universe of Gotham-centric stories.
You like this crappy movie. You don't understand what makes a good movie, man. You only look for nice-looking pictures. You don't understand that the writing is the fucking issue. That's your problem. That's why these movies are shit, and you can't see it.
Yeah,
it's baffling.
Yeah, they got to.
You're only dazzled by nice-looking scenes. You're dazzled by the lights, by the jangling keys in front of you, or whatever you say that in English, and maybe the music that hammers in from the soundtrack. You're not seeing the actual character writing and the story in itself, which is the key that makes the movie rise or fall.
The actual mystery was not that good. How they went about figuring stuff out was kind of silly. It wasn't wrong. It was just like, maybe it's this guy. Maybe it's this guy. And it's just like, okay, come on.
Plus, there was that whole thing with, what was it? La Rata or whatever it was with the penguin. The penguin actually figured it out instead of the two detectives.
Yeah.
That kind of made me laugh.
I think these first two steps that he's detailing, I think you could just combine them into one. And I think I don't remember whose video it was. I think it was like Nerdstalgic or something, where he proposed the idea of if you have to start fresh, the DCAU is right there, being as the perfect template for if you want to start fresh.
Yeah, there's certain things you do and don't do, as you said, like Batman looking like a goof, hitting his head on that, what was it, subway train track or something. It was just it was a bus. I can't remember what the hell.
Oh my god, I forgot that stupid scene.
They're just
flight suit ended in him just basically killing himself.
Yeah, he basically just snapped his neck. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I could write that scene off. As like, okay, maybe that was like the first time he ever used that. But that's that's kind of stretching.
That's what it looked like. But still, that is it.
Well, that was the extreme
his bat suit would not protect him from smashing his skull in with that.
That was one problem. The other one I really disliked was he started painting on the hardwood floor of his mansion this web. And I'm like, would Batman really do that? I don't think so. I think he's smart enough to use his amazing computer or a whiteboard if he really needed to like do the standard detective rope thing with the red lines.
He doesn't do it the schizo way.
Yeah, he put more time into that. It would have taken him like 5 minutes to do that on a whiteboard
or paper. It's
like the movie forgot.
Like that took time to do that.
Yes.
Yeah, the movie forgot that Bruce Wayne / Batman is intelligent. That he's one of the smartest people in the DC universe.
Yes.
And yet he was an angsty teen.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what a lot of these bad versions get wrong about him.
That would have been great if he was like writing a diary. Like it sounded like he was writing a diary in the start of the narration of the film, where he's describing how dark it is. And whatever. He's like, okay, cool.
I know what happened.
I saw that, and I was like, for Batman, that can work.
Right. Mm-hmm. So you would expect him to have like paper and a pen, and he's like taking notes. He's a detective. He whips out his little book while he's with Gordon and he's doing the crime scene. Mm-hmm. Everyone's like, what the hell's going on? He has paper? What the hell? And that would make sense. So if he were to draw a web or make a list or whatever a Batman would do with the notebook.
I actually liked he had like those contact lenses that were recording everything. I actually kind of like that. Like, okay, I'm like that's something that Batman would kind of like invent. Like
that's a solution.
You basically have almost nanotech.
Yeah, it's a solution that eliminates a lot of problems that the story just you don't have to explain. It's just literally a computer screen on his eyeballs, which is like, okay.
Yeah, but didn't the contacts also function as microphones and
that was pretty stupid.
That was all built into the cowl. I'm just like, they've done that with Batman before, but they don't make it so that you can notice.
And I could maybe accept that that there's a microphone in them, maybe, but how do you use them also as headphones? Am I misremembering that?
Her eyeballs vibrate and she could hear.
Oh God!
Yeah. Oh God, that would be
you wouldn't be able to see anything.
You're like, stop talking.
Well, and
his phone rings.
If you'd be able to hear that, other people would be able to hear it, most likely.
Yeah, most versions usually the furthest they go is that the lenses let him like perceive like certain and anomalies in his immediate vicinity. Yeah. Like kind of what was it? The Dark Knight did. It's like the whole like techno vision, whatever it's called. It's like he's like seeing a whole bunch of stuff.
The echolocation.
The echolocation thing, yeah, and then either that or something close to like the detective vision in Arkham, something like that. Just not as broken.
I think I know what went wrong in the writing here, because you know this Mary Sue effect where suddenly when a character is or turns into a Mary Sue, like Sansa Stark in the Game of Thrones show, suddenly, so once she's the leader, everyone around her starts being written dumb, to make her look like the intelligent leader who knows what's what. Like the scene where she's walking through, I think, Winterfell, and then telling the old smith on how to work the armor with the leather so that it's not cold or something, which is complete bullshit. He just nods along, which was written so that Sansa looks more competent than she actually is, so everybody else has to become an idiot. And here's something similar happened, because Batman's antagonist is the Riddler. Should be probably the most intelligent villain that Batman has, because it's all about intelligence. It's about riddles, puzzles, the very thing that Batman as a detective should be doing. Just like Joker is the chaos versus order thing, Riddler is the puzzle versus detective thing. And when you write Riddler like shit with shit plots, for Batman to not immediately find and arrest him, Batman has to be dumber than Riddler for most of the time and be behind him. And that is what breaks that movie, I believe.
So Batman Forever.
Yeah.
If Batman fights the Riddler, Batman should be able to catch up to the riddle, but Riddler should already be at the next step, instead of Batman being too dumb to figure it out so everything explodes.
Honestly, with regards to Batman Forever, like Bruce Wayne should have been on to like the Riddler before he even became the Riddler in that regard.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
The way the Riddler like grabbed his arm, he's like, "I need your money." I would have been like, "Okay, fire this guy and have him arrested."
Yeah, and I'm just like, to bring up Arkham for a quick little point. It's like there's a reason why most of the time with the Riddler side content in the Arkham series, that's most likely the reason why most like a good chunk of it is either too easy or actually makes you think, because that's kind of the point.
Or nobody does it in the game.
Well, you canonically have to. Canonically, he does it all.
Right, but I'm saying like, you know, it's so much in the game. It's so much in the game.
Yeah, but the point I want to get across is like it's because, well, within the fact that it is canon that he does it all, it's like some of it is either too easy or you have to actually think to solve it, and that's I believe that in terms of the Riddler as the kind of character that does that, I'm pretty sure Arkham did that right. Because at the end of the day, that's all a diversion, so that Batman can actually catch up, get on him.
One thing that I could see Riddler doing would be to set up a lot of basic riddles that work in a certain way to basically prime you psychologically that this is how Riddler's riddles and puzzles work. And the hard one then works counterintuitive to what you've been conditioned to think Riddler's doing, so that you try to solve it in the wrong way.
I think they missed an opportunity in this Batman movie, the Batman movie, to make the Riddler that reporter's son. Because like his whole motivation is like, oh, I'm just doing this because the city is corrupt. It's like, okay, give me more than that. You know, like I thought that's what the reveal was going to be in the movie, was like when they mentioned the reporter being killed because Wayne was getting pressured by this guy. It was like, okay, obviously it's going to be the Riddler is the reporter's son. Like that's what I thought. And they're like, nope, they don't even mention it ever again. It's like, oh.
In this one or in Forever?
The Batman movie. They mentioned like at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question, since you know these characters more than I do. Is it relevant for Batman to know who the Riddler is? Is it inconsequential?
You mean like his real name?
Is it relevant whether Batman knows who the person is that became the Riddler?
Yeah, and
is it relevant?
The whole thing is who is the Riddler? He has to guess because it takes like more than half the film to figure it out. And then once
no. I mean in general, this whole dynamic. Because for the Joker, it is relevant. But is it relevant with the Riddler?
They did do that in one of the Arkham games. It was Arkham Origins.
No, in Arkham Origins is the only one where he doesn't know.
Right. It's essentially where he first meets the Riddler.
Well, he wasn't the Riddler yet. He was Enigma.
Right. Well, he called him Enigma. I remember he called him Enigma mainly because he was like, I think he was like fucking with Batman.
Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah, no. But it is canonical in that universe that he wasn't the Riddler yet until after, after the incident that happened in Origins. It was until a little after that he actually officially becomes the Riddler.
Yeah, because I think the way I'd see the Riddler, with the little knowledge I have, is that it should be irrelevant or inconsequential to Batman of who the Riddler is, for the Riddler is intelligent enough to, regardless of whether someone knows his identity, to obscure himself within society.
Yeah, it's irrelevant in the sense that in a lot of mainline versions, he already knows, but it's ultimately irrelevant to what Riddler actually does as part of his shtick.
In regards to Batman, though, his whole idea is that he understands the psychology of each person, so he doesn't really care so much who they are, but where they come from, why they act the way they do, so he could plan ahead of them. And that's the whole concept. I don't know if you're familiar with the Batman Gambit in TV tropes. It's not about planning every step ahead and doing all these crazy maneuvers. It's being efficient enough to know, oh, the Joker's crazy, he's going to do this. So I'm going to have 3 plans against that. And if, like the Riddler, he loves puzzles, so I'm going to plan the way he might think, but I know his weakness about his dad or his mom. Like he would figure out the psychology of the person and plan accordingly. He would not just be like, I'm a chess master. I could plan, 10,000 moves.
It was with his dad, yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be something psychological, and Batman will prepare for that, just for that opponent in that certain way. So that's what's great about Batman. He's not superhuman. He is very smart, though. And his only superhuman ability is his ability to never stop, to keep going. And the theory is that if you are such a person, you have so much motivation to become the Batman, how would that work? And that's because he lost his parents, he lost his family, he believes in the city, and he's never going to stop to protect it.
And here the question is Article Batman, has he been planning ahead? Or is he just been chasing?
Oh, no, there's nothing.
Yeah, he's chasing.
He's just
chasing.
Yeah.
So, bad Batman movie.
Not a great Batman movie. It's a good Batman movie.
Yeah, but it's not Batman. It looks
It
like Gotham
has
City.
the basic elements of a detective story in the skin of
Yes.
Batman, right? And that's enough for some people.
It's not beginner Batman.
Yeah, but then we're splitting hairs with what is a good Batman story, and there's like thousands of them and different flavors.
His whole shtick is figuring out what's wrong with these movies, or wanting to figure that out, and we're trying to analyze that and give an answer. And the thing is that Article Batman doesn't seem to be actually Batman.
Okay, well, compare this to 1989 Batman, where Batman just solves the chemical formula to cure everyone from the Joker toxin, right? So he just does it. It's not about the Joker toxin, and they just give that fact that Batman's a chemical genius as well, right? So it's about the world. It's about the Gotham City that Tim created. That you get lost in, about the car. It's about the cowl and how he looks in the moonlight. That's what Batman was about in 1989. So for us to get a detective story in The Batman, how complicated does it have to be? Is it going to be a whodunit? It can't be that complicated. People are going to be turned off. They'll be like, what the hell? I wasn't expecting. Like, it's going to be so alien to the most audiences, you can't do an Agatha Christie murder mystery. It just won't work. It's too much. So you have to tone it down. Then you have to get, okay, the actor is young. He's not too old. He's been Batman for a while, but not too long. So you have to like, okay, he's got some street smarts. He's got some intelligence. And there's a lot of scenes like that where they show it off. But he's not the best fighter. He's not the best spooker. He's not the best sneaker. He's got just enough to say, okay, the focus is not the Batman. The focus is the setting. The focus is the characters and the villains, which is fine. So you can't just be everything's about Batman. He's awesome. He does all. It's like no. He makes mistakes, and he does make loads of mistakes. So that's fine.
I want to throw two ideas in regards how they would resonate with Batman. With this visually, the movie is fine. I'd say in regards to Batman. But in regards to the psychological play that you have with Riddler, if you choose him as the villain, so we've seen the Heath Ledger Joker plays well off Batman. That's how you do that villain right. Riddler is a different type of villain, so you get a different type of movie. And think of the psychological play that you had with in Death Note, combined with the detective nonsense in Detective Conan. If we look at manga,
if you want to go that far, sure, okay.
Yeah, but throw these together, and you might have the elements that you need for a Riddler movie.
I would even say that might be too much for audiences to watch, like a Detective Conan episode in a Batman.
I am sick of underestimating audiences.
I know, but kids are going to be like, "What?" You know, and
I know Conan is is often doing a bit over the top silly things with that you seriously can't anticipate. But I think you need the combination of these two elements: the detective figuring out stuff and coming out ahead, and the psychological play that you have with the Riddler. Because what Riddler does is a psychological game, but it's a different psychological game than Joker plays.
Well, the focus of Batman has always been the villains, or the rogues gallery. So if you make a very good villain, and the character of the Riddler in the Batman film wasn't perfect. He was pretty good, though. They had some clever ideas, like the thumb drive. The thing I didn't like was he lived right outside the club. He could have shot that gun at any time just by staking out that entrance for like years and years. He never did. He had to wait just for that lamp, just for that guy to exit that particular door he exits all the time, because like that was the whole thing. And I'm thinking, really, he couldn't have scoped out another door or had camera? Like, he could have done a dozen different things.
Well, I think he wanted like a spectacle.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Like, he wanted to take down like the gangster in front of the cops. Like, he wanted the world to see it.
He could have done that any number of ways. You didn't have to have this crazy elaborate setup, which I wouldn't say it's convoluted. It's just like a Pythagoras switch. Like you have all these moving parts to do a simple operation, like watch a door.
Yeah, and you know, I was kind of with the Riddler. Like he's taking down like these corrupt elements of Gotham City. He's like, okay, I can respect that. You know, I respect what he's doing. Then he detonated the van bombs and flooded the entire city, and I'm like, okay, dude, you lost me.
Yeah, this is
like,
the.
I mean, I don't mean you lost me like in a sense of like I don't understand, but like you lost me in a sense of like, why are you doing this? Like you killed like the 3 most corrupt people in the city, essentially, or got rid of them.
I'm trying to remember that.
And now you're killing everybody.
What's that murder mystery, or was it Netflix, where the detective is a killer? Dexter. He kills only other murderers.
Oh, he was the mortician.
Yeah, his specialty is blood splatter or whatever. Like that's how I saw the Riddler. And then it's like, okay, so this is what would naturally occur in a crime-ridden city like Gotham. You would have these crazy dudes like the Joker and the Riddler who would go after all these other crime bosses because they could, and that was their version of justice. That was their version of fun or whatever. And then he does the crazy thing of bombing the city, and you're like, oh, so you are a terrorist. You're not just a like, what are you doing? Like, he had perfect motivation for what he was doing, and then he screwed it up at the end. And then there was this scene which undermines the Batman, where he's crying. He starts going. He has this hysterical fit in the cell.
Oh yeah.
And it's because Batman didn't see his next step. And you're like, oh.
Well, he also wanted the Batman to like join him, essentially.
They were brothers. We're the other side of the all this dumb shit. And Batman should have been smart enough to like that. That would have been the great moment where Batman saw ahead. And then of course there was a backup plan that the Riddler had that Batman didn't see, and that would have been the tragedy. But you know, it's fine. It got the villain as on top for at least that moment. So a lot of things they could have done right, a lot of things they did do right, and a few things they didn't do right. And we expect perfection, but of course we don't get it. So anyway, let's keep going.
Planned for HBO. Pattinson's Bruce still has a lot of learning to do, a lot of love to let in. And if I was a betting man, I'd gamble it all on the idea that we will see Robin in that universe. A Robin that could later become his own hero. You will probably see Barbara, since Jim Gordon was and is such an essential character. Matt is crafting a Bat universe, a self-contained one for now. And that's more than enough for me. So please keep Keaton's...
That's your belief, your personal belief.
Well, we don't know until the second
as
movie.
Fact.
We don't know until the second movie.
He sounds obsessed.
Right. Well, no. I get that, Wisp, but I'm saying like we don't know what Reeves has got going until the second movie.
Yeah, and with
because we already know that the Joker's already in this universe and Batman has caught him.
Yeah, and how this one is written, I fear that the next movies will also be written in a broken fashion that will make ultimately this movie, this next attempt at the Batman universe also fall flat with the general audiences.
Okay.
Because eventually they may take a while to catch on, but they do catch on, as we saw with Star Wars.
I don't know why he's referencing Keaton all the time. That's...
Well, Keaton's in the he was supposed to be in the Batgirl movie as Batman.
Oh. Boy.
And from what I heard, like it's probably a good thing that movie didn't come about because like apparently his subplot in the Batgirl movie, Keaton's Batman, was like CW level quality. So they were probably gonna make a fool out of him.
Yeah, I don't think
knowing the CW's track record, they were gonna make a fool out of him.
Yeah, I don't think the canceling of the Batgirl movie was a bad idea. I think that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, I'd still like to see it. I'm just saying, like, I'm curious. I'm curious. You know, like everybody says like, oh, we dodged a bullet. It's like, well, I kind of want to see it. I kind of want to see what could have been, but I'm sure it'll be released eventually.
You like ramming hunting knives into your leg, do you?
I gots to know, Wisp. I gots to know.
Oh boy.
Batman to a fun supporting role in Flash. Please let Ben Affleck finally take off the cowl and get some damn sleep. And then, if WB still wants more Batman, step 3, Batman fucking Beyond. I've been saying for years that the biggest asset WB continues to sleep on is a young, punky, futuristic Blade Runner-inspired fucking Batman movie. Like, dude, why haven't we seen this yet? That would break the box office, set the world.
Because they keep failing at making the basic shit.
I agree. This will be a great setting, but they'll screw it up so easily.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, instantly. It'll be a what is it?
CGI extravaganza, stupid boss fights,
green screen,
all kinds of crap. Yeah.
Yeah.
World on fire and make my soul a little less damp. It doesn't have to be tied to anything, entirely self-contained. You get the relatable teen superhero with girl troubles, family drama, and the existentially terrifying task of trying to figure out your place in the world. You get the hellish, gothic, nightmarish future with flying cars, neon lights, and demons lurking around every corner. And you get a fucking young, wisecracking, angst-ridden Batman who is so different from Bruce, but who...
And you get Kevin Conroy as the right age, so...
There's that, yeah.
I'd love that. Again, but they would screw it up so easily. It's so obvious.
If you just...
Plus, didn't that Batman kill some of his villains?
He beat the shit out of them. Like, he did not care.
I thought he killed like one or two of them.
Oh, I don't know.
Not like intentionally, but like, they died.
I don't...
Just throw out all this woke socialist bullshit crap, this ESG score crap. Throw it out and make the thing then. And I promise you, it will be awesome.
Who still maintains the will, the hope, and the ever-enduring self-sacrificing nature. Someone fresh, someone new who audiences will connect to, but someone who embodies, who exemplifies what it means to be the Batman of the future. All right, enough about Batman. Step 4, use your other characters, man. A colorful intergalactic war, a sci-fi adventure where anything is possible. One that asks the profound question of which emotion is stronger.
This is not
fear or will, rage or love.
This is not going to work. This is not going to work.
It's been tried.
They can't do it right.
This guy wants to emulate the personification of emotions from the Lantern Corps, and he thinks it's going to work well in a live action. I don't think so. You can't do it unless you're extremely good at writing, and you know what you don't do.
Yeah, watch the 3D animated show from early 2000s. That was done well. That was written well. I was sad that there was only one season. Because that thing got more and more interesting. And I think the important part about that is that Hal Jordan wasn't the main character. He was the hero who sometimes saved the day, but the show but because he's the perfect hero, the perfect paragon, for the purposes of the show, all the side characters are the more interesting ones that get explored, that have arcs, because they're imperfect. That was super interesting.
I just can't see this. It works so well and beautifully in a comic book when you read any of the Green Lantern stuff. It's very like galactic, and there's all these enemies and all these heroes. And it's very big. It's kind of basically a Justice League story, but a little more focused. Justice League is pretty. Some of them are horrible. Some of them are okay. Now it's a bit convoluted because you have all these colors and all these emotions, and they're so over the top powerful.
I remember even Van Sciver not being happy that the colors were just expanded endlessly.
It gets stupid. It really does when you have so many different emotions with different colors, and this is hate, this is rage, this is hope. This is like, oh my god, how many did we go through? How did
rage and hope and that shit that was still okay, but when they expanded this to light and dark and depression. That was just broken.
Even the animated one I saw which was the guy becoming the white or the blue. I can't remember which one it was. It was like, okay, I can kind of buy that, but it was still a hard sell as an idea. So this is not a good idea.
Or compassion? Do these feelings rule us, or can we control them, use them to inspire, to create whatever we dream of? The imagination of the filmmaker, of the artist, of the audience, of us is the limit. Persecuted, the last of his kind, unimaginable tragedy, alone, with the ability to change his form, shape his world, his life. The curse of being able to read our minds, see the bleakness.
Okay, so this could work. This is fine. This is simple.
The selfishness, but also the hope, the care. Detective, protector, philosopher, peacekeeper. He could choose to be invisible, to be a watcher, hiding in plain sight, but he chooses to live. He could rule, enslave, conquer, but he chooses to love, to try and understand love, understand why he is here among us. A group of sidekicks, partners, teens, each trying to pave their own path. Not become those that helped raise them, that made them, not be consumed by their darkness, but instead be a beacon of light. A young voice behind the camera, a group of young, diverse faces in front, but at its core, a group of gifted individuals.
He's just listing other things. Like, dude, this has been tried.
We've already got the live actions Titans show, and they've already had an animated Teen Titans movie.
It does not work.
No.
Trying to inspire those.
Just because he just gave me like a psychic damage. Anyone who still complains about the fucking Porygon episode from Pokemon, but doesn't say anything about this shit in modern day American cartoons, is a fucking hypocrite and asshole. They give you the trigger warnings for any PTSD shit, but not for seizures.
From ever occurring again. DC has such a vast lore, a variety of tortured souls, of galactic protectors, of heroes. A Justice League, a legion of superheroes, a team of Teen Titans, new gods, Metal Men, Blue Beetles, Spectres, Archers. It's time.
Look, boy. The problem is not that they don't have a variety of content to tap into, to use. That's not the problem of these movies and why they fail. The reason why they fail is because the fucking writing is ass. And you don't understand that because you don't understand writing. You only understand flashy images on the screen.
You could look at, I can't remember which season of Smallville it was. They introduced the Justice, not the Justice League, the Justice Team, or I can't remember what it was called. And they brought in a Green Arrow and the original or the old Hawkman. And it was hokey as hell. Like, it was really silly. So, Aquaman, they had all these characters. The Flash was there. He was this little kid. It was like, all right, you're doing the superhero team thing in the Smallville's Superman show. Sure. It's cute. It's silly. I can't take it seriously. And mostly that was a melodramatic soap opera anyway. So good for the tone, good for the audience. But to put that into the cinema, I don't think it's going to work. It would be so niche, maybe for kids at best, and it wouldn't be that. Nowadays, it wouldn't be fun. If it was like 20 years ago, maybe, but not nowadays. Nowadays, some director would probably screw it up with all this other stupid comedy, trying to be the next Joss Whedon, and I just don't think it would fly. There's too many characters. You can't just keep having ensemble casts and expect it to work well.
Plus, they need to all be in the same universe.
Yeah, and we only saw it work after they screwed up with the Suicide Squad. And you could say the latest Suicide Squad film had a focus, at least, that allowed the actors to perform in their own way based off the characters they represented and with their own plots. And it's like, oh yeah, if you just allow the story to manifest itself properly, as outside of forcing everything, and we have to have this scene, and we have to have the big giant sky laser, and we have to have the transformation fire guy, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, and they killed half the team too.
It did not have enough payoffs. And you're just sitting there going, why did you do this way? When we have the comic versions of the comic, we had the animated version, which was a tight little story of them raiding, was it Arkham Asylum, I think?
Yes.
And they just stole a hammer, or they stole a bunch of stuff from...
Well, they were sent there to get the Riddler.
The Riddler's thing, yeah, whatever it was.
Well, like, he knew something. Like, Waller wanted them to kill him because he knew something about her organization, I think. And the thing you mentioned about the hammer, like the Joker put like a bomb inside of like Harley's hammer. I think it was a nuke, like a mini nuke. And like if she hit it the certain way, it would set off the nuke. And
it was on a timer as well. And you're just like, well, if it was on a timer, it would have detonated eventually anyway. So it's this self-fulfilling prophecy of, if we don't do this, the Riddler thing is going to cause a catastrophe. It's like, well, it's going to be a catastrophe anyway, but because we found the catastrophe, it's another catastrophe.
The one thing I loved about the animated, in particular, one of the things I loved about the animated movie was when Harley goes ballistic and she tries to kill the Joker in his cell with a gun. You have the one guard standing off to the side, sipping his coffee, going, well, maybe she'll kill him.
There was
yes, someone gets it.
Yeah, it was much more entertaining to watch that. It made way more sense. And it was still pretty, was it NR-17? I don't know it was an adult show, at least.
I think it was rated R, I think.
Yeah, it's up there.
For someone outside the CW offices to have the guts to take a chance on more, to do something new, to tell the stories Marvel can't. It's time to believe in your characters, believe in your storytellers.
They did that.
No, your storytellers so far were ass.
Yeah. You gave
believe in your comic writers.
Yeah, you gave Zack Snyder free reign. Look what happened.
Yeah.
Yep.
Didn't you learn anything from the Star Wars prequels?
I get this strong feeling, I want to do it. Give me the reins. I'll do it. I'll show you how to make a Swamp Thing story or whatever. It's like, okay.
I said I'll make you a Star Wars noir movie in Nar Shaddaa.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Many people can. It's not hard. But this guy's like, I want to do it. I'm a filmmaker. Like, okay. Prove it.
I believe hard enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would have spent years trying to recreate the success of the first Avengers, but that success was built, the match was lit by taking a chance. Few cared about Iron Man, few knew the story of Steve Rogers, even fewer had any empathy for Thor. It's not about connecting everything. These comic book movies thrived for years without cameos, guest appearances, and sequel setup. Sure, make it connected if the story calls for it, if it feels like a natural progression. You're not going to see Jason Momoa and Pattinson riding a giant sperm whale together on the way to fight Jared Leto's Joker, except in my dreams. Those things don't mix and they don't need to. One of my major problems with the MCU nowadays is the need to constantly fill the solo films with other box office treats, baiting us into believing everything is essential. All of it matters. All of it is groundbreaking, world building.
No, the idea is that it's all connected and it's a living, breathing universe where all these people know each other and affect each other, which doesn't always work when you have a threat that nobody addresses but the hero of that movie. While the obvious thing at this stage of the MCU would be, I have Doctor Strange on call. Can you jump in because this looks like a mystical threat? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, there's no, like in the previous Marvel films, like there was a lead up to Infinity War, like we knew it was coming. You know, they were setting it up for that. Nowadays, there's really nothing. There's no big looming threat that we know of, anyway.
Yeah, but the moment you have the Justice League, you have the organization that can properly oversee super threats and respond. And you will still have, and in the meantime, you can deal with the little shits. Like Spider-Man will always, should always, prefer to deal with the little neighborhood problems.
Yep.
You don't need a movie branching plot to have the DCEU work. It's not necessary.
Right, it's not necessary, but at least in Marvel, that there was something leading to it, you know.
Yeah, with the DCEU, they just didn't care to actually build it.
Right.
Multiverse bending, none of it truly personal. It's sad that the Flash needs a Batman to help him run. It's even sadder that the Justice League, my favorite childhood heroes, these aspirational icons, were first introduced, first showcased in live action in flesh and blood to the world through QuickTime videos, jammed into the cultural zeitgeist via USB montage. The dawn of justice should not have been a PowerPoint presentation. Forever, always, that will be their opener. Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman first stood together not because someone dreamed that tale, not because it naturally fit into Zach's vision, but because a studio wanted to rush it. And that studio...
I'd have to disagree. This is just a little screen thing from was it Lex's computer?
Yeah.
That was
Batman versus Superman, yeah.
Yeah. That was a little Easter egg. That was a little, ooh, what's that?
I'm confused now. Are we supposed to trust storytellers or not? Because this was made by those very storytellers where he likes the movies.
He didn't like it because it was the first? I'm like, so what? It could have worked if the next film was good. So what if Lex has information on all these other super people in the world? That's fine. He's Lex. The movie sucked. The movies after that sucked. It's like, what?
I don't know. I think that scene would have probably worked better as like an after credits scene. You know, showing the four different heroes, like, you know, Aquaman and, you know, the Flash and those guys.
The way they showed the video was dumb. That was just like, okay.
Well, oh yeah. No. I'm not questioning that, but I'm saying like that should have been like an after credits scene. Like, hey, we downloaded Lex's, you know, hard drive, and this is what was on it. And they just show you like the symbols, you know, something like that. I mean, I'm just spitballing.
I would just be happy if he didn't use this voice that sounds like he keeps twisting that knife he rammed into his leg.
Studio is still suffering because of it. Batgirl is gone because there wasn't a plan. Someone's dream died because WB didn't believe in the dream.
There were other reasons besides that.
That fucking sucks.
Why do
Warner Brothers...
He puts the frickin' pound sign over the U, but he swears anyway. It's like, dude, come on. What are you doing?
Yeah, commit to it or don't.
One way or the other.
Successes, their smash hits, the ones they are always trying to recreate, they are all owed to trust. Richard Donner created the superhero movie. A young Tim Burton redefined an icon. A young Christopher Nolan changed the game, redefining what people believed the genre could be. Patty Jenkins showed the world the beauty of Wonder Woman's love. David F. Sandberg started on YouTube right where I'm sitting and went on to make Shazam a household name. James Wan turned Aquaman into a billion-dollar hit. Todd Phillips made an R-rated Joker movie that turned into one of, if not the most profitable comic book movie of all time. And Matt,
yeah, maybe you should make the movies properly R-rated in a justified and manner that takes writing seriously with writing that fits for adults, because you want to make serious movies that portray these superheroes in a realistic fashion, in a more realistic world that is less cartoony than the Tim Burton one. Yet you don't give us the adult level storytelling, the quality that you would expect in movies for adults that have developed brains.
Saying Aquaman made $1 billion or whatever is like, wow, what an achievement. I'm so impressed with this shitty, mediocre film that does not stand up to anything else.
Yeah. The movie made money because of Jason Momoa.
Pretty much.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
Yeah.
I like him.
Yeah, look at the performance of the female lead.
It's the same with Henry Cavill.
Fucking
Look
hell.
at all the stuff Henry Cavill's in, even that weird Enola Holmes Sherlock thing.
Oh, they're making a sequel to that, by the way.
I know. It's like, why? Because of Henry Cavill.
Hey, let's bring him back.
Why are people watching The Witcher? And why is there a third season?
Did he take his shirt off in that?
Probably not. But
There's probably a deleted scene or something.
yeah, it's Henry Cavill, guys. There's no other reason.
Yeah.
I don't know any fans of
He's
Sherlock.
he's a guy that's passionate too about it.
Oh yeah, he's great. He's a great actor. He's a great looking dude. He understands fans. He's a geek. All these things are great.
Yep.
But this is the same reason why the Ghost in the Shell live action was made. Yeah, the right actor. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That Reeves showed us that there is still so much left to explore within Bruce Wayne.
Really?
Those filmmakers.
Really? The Batman gave us what kind of personality of Bruce Wayne? Tell me. What did he give us?
Bumbling schoolboy.
A guy who just stares at things and paints stuff on his floor when he gets perturbed and doesn't know who the criminal is. Maybe it's this guy. Maybe it's not him, it's not the other guy. It's like, oh, come on.
Didn't that also have an unnecessary death of Alfred?
Did Alfred die?
No, he didn't die.
Okay. Did someone die in the explosion?
No.
Don't think so.
No one died in the explosion. Like
Okay.
that was stupid, by the way, by Alfred. He looks at this package. He's like, "Huh, it's got the same writing on it as all the letters written by the Riddler. Let me open this up."
Yeah.
Well,
And maybe that's why I thought.
And then he looks at it and it says like non-flammable on the back, and he's like, "Oh shit!"
well, even the money bag for Selena, Batman didn't care. He's like, yeah, take the money. I don't give a shit. It's like, what? You're Batman. You freaking turn criminals over to the cops for anything. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You're going to jail,
Movies I
Selena.
have absolutely no drive.
And
to
she wasn't
ever
even
rewatch.
Catwoman at that point. She was just Selena.
Cat burglar or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least in the Nolan
Fighting
films.
complaining about the patriarchy.
Yeah, but oh god. At least in Nolan films, it was clever how she had the night vision goggles and she pulled them up and it looked like ears. Like that was clever.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was
That was cute.
We don't need to know the backstory. She used to be an S&M and she could use a whip or whatever. It's like we don't care. We don't need to know that.
They would make an extra origin movie for how she got the idea to make those cat ear glasses.
Yeah.
2 hours.
Makers had the love, the belief in these characters, and a studio that believed in their vision. I don't need to tell you that
He is talking so slowly. I thought the speed was reduced for a second.
He is talking with the pressure of pain in his soul. That is what makes it so slow.
Yeah.
the biggest DC misfires were due to a lack of trust, a lack of belief. We probably would have liked Ayer's Suicide Squad, but they wanted DC's Guardians of the Galaxy. Zack Snyder's Justice League would have been and was far better received than DC's Avengers. How do you save the DC?
You want to know why? Because a bunch of fanboys wanted it. And it was downloadable on Netflix or whatever. It was easier to get than it was to go to the film or to go to the cinema.
Better received than Avengers?
I don't know about that.
Do you mean more
He said
people
the DC
watched it, or do you mean the actual ratings?
Yeah, he said DC Avengers. I was like, wait, what?
The Zack Snyder
Confused.
cut, or the Snyder cut, everyone wanted it because the other version was bad. And yeah, if you give me 4 more hours or whatever the hell the runtime was, yeah, you're going to get more content. Of course, it's going to be a little better.
We wanted to see if Snyder himself is more capable of what they made out of the movie. And now we saw that it's just different shit.
And it turns out that he had so much crap he didn't know what the hell to do with. He had to cut it all out, which is hilarious because that's not what you do on a budget, which means they gave him hundreds of millions of bucks to film another film like with Cyborg. That was basically the Cyborg film of his backstory and his... Yeah. Like, wow, that's a great story.
Because he lacked an origin movie.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, we're going to cut all of that out. It's like, what? Why did you do that? This is like the episode 8 with Rian Johnson. He just kept filming shit. We had too much movie. We had like 5 hours. Like, what? What did you do? Why did
let's
you
not
do?
get into Ryan Johnson again.
I know. Well, you showed Ryan
I
Johnson at the start
I want
there.
to see is the full footage out somewhere
Of TLJ? No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Who
I
cares?
want to see that.
Oh God.
And I want to see if somebody can make a phantom cut of that into something that resembles a movie. Because TLJ, I'm not even sure that was a movie. It was several hours on screen, but not the
Stuff
movie.
happens, then stuff happens, then stuff happens.
It's like watching the
die a
commercial.
lot.
It's like watching the commercial break. If you watch the commercial break with its several commercials about completely different, unrelated things that don't affect each other, you wouldn't call that a movie either. You call it a commercial break.
All right.
Almost TLJ felt like.
Okay.
EU, the DC film universe? It's simple. You believe that the audience, that we can and will dream with the Green Lantern,
What?
feel the pain of a Martian Manhunter,
What?
empathize with a group of teenage Titans.
Wait, dude. What? Yes, audiences can feel certain dramatic elements in a story if they're presented as such, provided the story knows how to do that, and that's based off the writing skill of the writer. So, no, I really, not even Neil Gaiman could probably tell a story with the Lantern Corps to make it believable and dramatic and make me care.
I don't think Neil Gaiman would be the right guy for that.
He could do it, but I don't think it's going to work very well, and I don't think I'm going to go watch it.
It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah,
it would be
'cause
interesting to see.
He will humanize the gods that are the whatever's the core. There's all those weird aliens. He'll make them more realistic and like, okay, fine. But am I going to go watch it? Probably not. Even his American God stuff is really watered down. He'll take the idea of Balder or the idea of Norse mythology and he'll throw it into the trash and pick it back up and dust it off and then say, okay, this is the version of Odin. You're like, oh, interesting. And that has to be simplified and told in a miniseries and over and over and over. American Gods was a thick novel. Can't just make a movie out of
It
that.
wasn't that big, but do you mean dense?
For Gaiman, that was pretty dense, yeah.
Yeah. Great book, by the way. You read it.
It's cool, but for his style, it's like, whoa, that's he's used to like comics and short stories and novellas and stuff like that. For him to do that is like, wow.
It felt a little bit like a Murakami story.
Really? Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Just harsh, like
belief, power, yeah.
No, not that part. Just in the way he presented the magical shit in the normal world. What was it? Not Mr. Aufziehvogel. What was the other one? Big one. I need to check my bookshelf, of which it reminds me.
Yeah. Okay.
The one where the main character is in this fantasy world to do cognitive stuff.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, go.
With the heroes we already know and learn to care for those that we have yet to meet. And you have faith that the filmmaker's vision, that the storyteller's love is strong enough to translate what the fans know to be true, what they have always believed. That
dude, you're just spouting platitudes.
Just babbling.
Yeah. Also, don't make a movie just strictly for the fans. You know, you got to appeal to everybody. You know, you want to bring in the non-fans.
But don't say the appeal to everybody, because that's how we got the movies that we got.
Right, but I'm saying, like, you know, don't just
if
do
you're
it strictly for the fans.
If certain movies you don't make for 6-year-olds.
Right. No. I get that, but I'm saying, like, don't go in with like the mindset of like I'm only gonna appeal strictly to the fans. You know, I mean, I watch all of the Marvel movies, and I don't read any of the comic books.
Look, if you're just authentic with the characters and with the story, then you automatically appeal to the comic fans. That automatically happens.
Right.
So you don't need to do that specifically. What is missing in all of this is the writing, and he doesn't seem to see that.
Right.
You
you need good writers.
He's making this appeal to emotion, whereas, the whole experience of watching a film is magic, and I'm making a film, and it's this whole belief, translation, communication between the director and the audience. You're like, yes, that's true, but if the writing sucks, none of that happens.
There, that our love for Clark, for Bruce, for Diana, and the rest of the insanely beautiful, colorful, complex, touching, tremendous DC Comics world, that love is real. We care about...
Okay, yeah, dude, this is getting nowhere.
This is absolutely no argument. This is just babbling for... I really like these characters. I want a nice film with that, but he can't really even explain how that would need to be made. So maybe what is our response to it? Because I think we've given a few pointers for that, each of us, and then you get an idea. But that is nothing that Hollywood's gonna do for the next decade or two. They don't care about good writing. They just vulture it.
Here's from Cyberfrog. My mom's name is Martha. My mom's name was Sarah. Bros, my mom's name was Martha too. My mom's name was Maria. Let's be friends. It's war. This is the split between DC and Marvel. So the first on the left is DC. My mom's name is Martha from Superman. Batman says, my mom's name is Martha.
You're on memes.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. Anyway. There is the Dungeons & Dragons. I'll play that later. The best Superman movie. Mattel? Okay. Oh, boy. Not quite. AI take on Superman. Cool. Not bad. Stop making Superman Jesus. He's Moses, not Jesus, guys. Come on, get it right. Satan's minion, the highway patrol, watching me pull the flare gun out of my glove box after ruining my booze cruise. What?
Okay.
All right.
Have fun.
Batman in Hell. Oh, yeah.
He's so happy.
Whee! Stop talking. Yeah, he talks a lot. Well, very slowly at least.
Very painfully.
Oh, I have to talk with emotion.
Yeah, with pain and hope in my voice all at once. Like you just want to make another Zack Snyder movie.
All right, here is GAW, or GIW004. Speaking of Henry Cavill, my sisters keep telling me to watch The Witcher. Been on the fence. Would you guys recommend? Still mad Daredevil is off Netflix. I would say watch the first few episodes of season 1 of The Witcher. Some great fight scenes. They focus a lot on Yennefer, and that's kind of a thing that people noticed. If you're okay with that, you'll be fine. But hardcore fans are like, this is not quite the books. Sometimes it is.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill is just bait for you to watch it.
Yeah,
and then they make it about a female character.
Yeah, exactly. So he's really good with the fight scenes. The fight scenes are very well done. And there's a few, I think some YouTubers went through the fight scenes as how good they were. And there's 10% problems here and there.
It's on the writing, erroneous writing and focus. It's similar to other shows that do this. Wheel of Time did it by focusing on the side and support character Moiran, who's not Moiran in the show because she's written completely differently and like the worst asshole you can imagine, instead of the dainty little wise woman.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because there is a witch's circle and there is a wizard circle and they're all sort of together, but it focuses mostly on the women. And that's okay. I don't mind. It's not a big deal. There's a lot of witches in the Witcher games as well, so it's fine. But a lot of focus on the politics of witch being in control of a kingdom and influencing the kingdom and who's in control and how they get there. So there's a little civil war thing going on. So it slowly gets to the Witcher story with his was it the prophecy or some sort of promised child that he's going to get, which is Ciri. So it gets there. It's just very I didn't watch season 2, so I don't know, but I enjoyed it. Wasn't amazing.
Hawk said, from what I remember, what Hawk said, it's just Yennefer.
It's mostly Yennefer. Yeah, it is.
That's not The Witcher.
No, Henry Cavill's in there a lot. It's pretty much split.
It's not The Witcher.
Well, technically, yes.
Where's The Witcher?
Technically, yes. No, it is. There's a lot of Yennefer in the books as well. Just not the way it's presented in the show. It's a bit different. So, it's fun. It's cool. It's dark fantasy. You'll enjoy it if you like the genre. Is it the best? The best I could... In that genre, yes. I'd probably say it's probably the best dark fantasy Netflix show. Which isn't much, because I can't think of any others. So...
They don't make any.
Watch
the car commercial instead.
There's like Altered Carbon, I think. There's a bunch of other weird sci-fi ones that are creepy and weird. But dark fantasy, no, I can't think of any. Anyway, not bad. Appeal to emotion if you like that argument, and most fans do, because he's very popular, obviously.
If you like appeals to emotion, you're retarded.
Well, it's almost 300,000 views, so there you go.
Lots of retards.
I like Batman. Here's some clips of Batman. Here's some clips of here's some clips of other Batman guys. The audience loves Batman. If you believe in the audience, they will come. They will buy your product. Like, okay.
Yeah, but you're not watching.
He should have like a notification at the bottom of his screen that says, "If you can see my hands right now, you would be horrified."
Yeah, but the thing is, then you're not watching a good movie. What all you're watching is good still frames that you like of the character that you like. You don't actually need it animated even.
Yeah. Well,
oh, look, here's a cool scene with Batman in it.
He is
okay. Great.
He is devoting his professional and private time to making his own fan films. So, bravo, good for you. I admire that. I just wish he'd disconnect his heart when he's making his videos, because I'd really appreciate that more when he goes into like the science or the logistics of making movies is hard. It's like, thanks, we get it. Can you use that in your script writing when you make a video next? Make a good script, so we have to like bang your head against the wall every time you open your mouth about the fans love these characters. Like, we get it, we know it, we all do. Thank you. So anyway, thanks for the video, guys. Not bad. We covered him before, so we knew what to expect. I wasn't so flipping out every second. And I think we should announce the gaming. We should make them public. The gaming polls I'm making, so we can get some feedback from you guys. Go to the Smudcast discussion channel, and there's a thread in there. And you could post your own recommendations for the list, which is constantly being updated, so it's always going to be changing. And you can do the poll then. Submit your ideas to us of what you think are the best games everyone should have played or be playing now. And try to not do the AAAs, because that's a whole other list, which we'll be releasing soon. And we're slowly curating it for up to, I think our deadline is next week sometime. I don't know when, probably the weekend. And
not just every game you've ever played, but really outstanding ones.
Yeah, it's like your favorite chocolate cake ever. Like, you probably had dozens of chocolate cake in your life, but there's that one birthday or that one European vacation you had, and you went, oh my God, this cake's amazing. That's what I remember. It was a Black Forest cake with dark red cherries and this delicious whipped cream that was tasted like vanilla pudding, and oh my God, that's the one I want. That's the game I want to see. The best memory of what experience, one moment in a game that really stands out, that you want to keep playing or want to go back to every 10 years or whatever your reasoning is. That's what I want to hear about. So run on over to the joys of Discord and tell us what you like. Copperell, we already got your ideas. That's okay. If you can't use Google Docs, type it out. I could read it, no problem. Thank you so much. All right, guys. We lost Ginga, unfortunately, but I can say goodnight. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys, for jumping in, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.